And here's all the electrical I was talking about. See? We would be shooting into it. And that's how you plunge cut with the saw. See how I only kept it very level? That way you can't go through the whole wall or you get this. Alright? Okay, here, so okay, so I said I'd show you a trick real quick, and this is just a quick wood filler that you can have right away, because you've already bought the glue, right, and you've already just spent a ton of time sanding, right, so you just have to mix them together, and this really helps sometimes because the color of the filler will match the wood better than you can with any other off-the-shelf product. So for paint grade, you can totally get away with this. There's nothing wrong with this, and this will make some of the best filler. Even if you sanded Bondo, you can add glue to that sanded Bondo and you'll still get a phenomenal filler. Just mixing it in like this. So why not use what you already had, right? Stay tuned. I got some tricks for some stain grade wood fillers as well. So we've got our panels in, and it's time to paint. I'm going to paint before we put the panels up because I don't want to have the panels anywhere near the paint. It's just simpler that way. I'm going to throw you a couple tricks right here because you might not see me paint that often. I'm not really big into painting. It has its purposes, but for the most part I like the look of wood and I prefer to do stain grade carpentry. But for this is typical in theater work or media outlets where you want to have the back disappear and not be present in the display. So for this we're going to go with a matte black. It's a flat black. It's just going to be this will be Rust-Oleum's enamel, oil-based enamel, so you'll need mineral spirits to clean the brushes. I don't prefer latex because I like the durability of oil enamel, so I actually prefer it. It's a little bit more bit of a work when you're getting it on your clothes and stuff, but that's okay. And so one of the things you want to know about when you're painting with any paint, whether it's latex or oil-based enamel, is it's translucent. paint's not opaque unless you put a lot of coats on. So if it has some transparency, it's going to show through what's behind it. So if you want something dark, like a dark black panel or a red door, or even if it's blue or purple, you're going to want to not prime it with white. You're going to want to prime it with a nice deep black or gray. And for this, I just went to Lowe's. I explained to them what I wanted. I asked them to get it as close to black as possible. They weren't sure they could do it. I explained to them it's the same as tinting any other oil-based enamel, and they were happy to do it for me once I said, it's great, I'll take it, don't worry about it. And they did, and they got it as close as they could. They got a nice dark gray. And this will be actually an added benefit, because this way you'll be able to see where you painted and where you primed, because there'll be two different colors. And that way we'll make sure that we get good coverage. Although I know we'll get good coverage because we're going to prime this once. That's going to show our imperfections. That's going to show anything that we can't see right now because it's wood. Because then we're going to come through and we're going to sand it again, and then we'll prime it a second time. So this wood will be really nice and sealed. Also, I don't caulk bare wood. I only caulk after I've primed. So I've done my preliminary nail hole filling. It's not my 100% because I just want to make sure that I've got some backing in there, because what I'm going to do is prime it. That's going to show me my shadows once I put a light on it. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to really sand it, get it really nice. Then we'll come through with a little bit of putty and we'll clean it up. We'll sand it again and we'll prime it. We'll put the lights on it, and that primer is going to really pop any imperfections that we have before we even get to paint. So this is the process. We've already done a wood filler on the natural wood with the glue and sawdust, and we're going to go with primer. Then we're going to bring a product in that's going to either be like a Bondo or a wood putty. So with that, let's go ahead and paint, right? Alright, so we're back with the panels after the primer and after the caulking. So far we've gone ahead and we've glued all of our wood panel together. We have gone and filled it with a wood putty. We've sanded it down with 80 grit sandpaper with a random orbital sander. Then we went ahead and primed it. I put a pretty thick coat of primer on it for as far as primers goes. You usually put a nice thin coat on just to seal it, and that'll help show your gaps or any imperfections. But I went ahead and just put it on thick. I wanted to fill some hairline cracks, and I wanted to have a good base so that when I sand the primer with the 120 grit, that I don't take it all off and I get a nice smooth finish. So after that I went ahead and caulked it and wiped it down with a wet rag, and that will give me my surface prep for the paint. And so we're going to move on with the black paint and get this thing finished. So we're going to probably do about 2 coats of black. The first is going to be brushed on, and then the second, depending on how the finish turns out, will either be rolled with the mini roller, or I'll mix up some sprayer and I'll spray it with the low pressure, high volume. So I want to show you, this is the brush I use, and this is how I clean brushes. There. cleaned it. So that's that. I'm not going to go waste money on mineral spirits and then have a can of rags sitting around ready to ignite and start a fire. I'm just going to buy economy grade or some cheap Harbor Freight brushes, and then I'll just use them. That way I start painting and I finish painting, and you know, for a couple bucks it saves me mineral spirits, and it saves me the possibility of having somebody leave some rags around to start a fire at night when we're not around. So let's get this thing painted black. Then we'll come through and we'll give it, you know, 220 sand. And that'll be our first black, and then we'll go with our second coat, and we'll see how that looks, and maybe we'll get through in this with just 2 coats of finish paint. Alright? Enjoy.